Boker Tov. We are going to get to today's Daf Yomi, which is Lamed Tes of Kiddushin. We're going to start on the bottom of 38b, where the Gemara tells us, on the bottom of 38b, the Gemara is discussing the idea of how do we know that Chodesh, the prohibition of eating the new grain, the nature, the extent of that prohibition. So around 10 lines from the bottom on 38b, the Mishnah quotes, the Gemara quotes a Mishnah from Arwa, which states, Tanan Hasam, Chadash Asr min Torah. That Chadash, this new grain, is prohibited, biblically speaking, B'kol Makom, wherever you are, even outside of Israel. Whereas Arwa, the first 3 years, that's a halacha, that is prohibited. And Kulayim is midivrei sofrim, and Kulayim is rabbinically prohibited. So what does it mean when it says it's a halacha that Arwa is prohibited? My halacha. Rav Yehuda Amar Shmuel Hilchos Medina means it doesn't mean it's a law from Moses at Sinai. According to Shmuel, it means it's the halacha of the place where you are, meaning it's a custom. Whereas Ula says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, halacha Moshe Misinai. Ula says it's a law from Moses at Sinai. So so it's a biblical law. So Amarle Ula Rav Yehuda. So Ula says to Rav Yehuda Bishlam Vedidi. Ula says I'll prove to you that your Rebbe Shmuel is not right here, because it makes sense according to me. I say it's halacha Moshe Sinai. Hainu deshaning. That's why there's another Mishnah that draws a distinction between a Safek Arwa case where we're not sure if it's Arwa outside of Israel, a Safek Kulayim, to a case where we're not sure if it's Kulayim. The Tanam, because we learned in the Mishnah in Arwa, Safek Arwa. Let's say you have a case where you're not sure if it's Arwa, Ba'aretz, if it's Israel, it's also, you can't eat it because biblical prohibition. Syria was part of the area where David captured, David Amel captured, so it's some quasi connected to the land of Israel. So therefore, in Syria, however, it'll be permitted because it's, if you have a doubt, because it's not part of Israel. But if it's farther away, it's pure outside of Israel lands, then we say Yored v'lokeach b'vat shel yirenu locate. The Jews are allowed to buy from the idolater as long as he doesn't see the idolater harvest it, so he doesn't know for sure, where it came from. So that's by the case of Orwa, the Ilu Gabi Kolayim. With respect to Kolayim, which is rabbinically prohibited, we learned Tanan, Karam Anatua, Yerek v'Yerek. Let's say you have a vineyard which is planted with vegetables, so it's Koya Karam. Nimkar Chutzalo, then if it's sold outside of the farm, basically, so you don't see the guy harvest it in the land of Israel, be prohibited. Asr, but Syria, Mutter, in Syria it's permitted, but it's B'chutzlaretz, it draws a distinction. It says, Yored v'lokate, b'vachol yokopid. Yeah, the Jew can even tell the non-Jew, can you go pick that for me? As long as the Jew doesn't pick it himself. So by Orwa, we say the Jew can't tell the non-Jew to pick it, but he can buy it from him. Whereas by Kolayim, we say the Jew can even tell the non-Jew to pick it from him. So you see there's a distinction between Arwa and Kolayim. Now it makes sense according to me, says Ula, because I say one is biblical and one is rabbinic. But you, Shmuel, you say that they're both rabbinic. Then why are we drawing a distinction? According to you, on top of 39a, Nisni Ozev Ezeh Yored V'Lokeh, Ozev Ezeh Yored V'Lokeh. Why don't we say according to you, it should be the same law? So Amarle Shmuel or Ravanan. So the Gemara says Shmuel's response to this was Tani Ozev Ezeh Yored V'Lokeh, Ozev Ezeh Yored V'Lokeh. He says no, we have to have the same Mishnah for both of them. They're either saying that in both cases you could buy it from the farmer, or in both cases you could tell the farmer to go pick it for you. So Mar B'rei Ravina Mas Mar B'rei Ravana Mas Nile Lekula. Mar B'rei Ravana taught this in a lenient manner. He says Zev Ezeh Yored V'Lokeh. He says in both cases you can go down and harvest it. Meaning to say in both cases you can tell that you can ask the non-Jew to go and harvest it for you. As long as you don't actually do it with your own hands. So in both cases outside of Israel, you can ask the non-Jew to harvest the koyim for you and buy it from him, or harvest the arwa and you could eat it. So Amarle Levi with Shmuel. So Levi taught Shmuel Aryoch. This is a term of respect that Levi said to Shmuel, sipikli, meaning to say, you get me the food and do it for me in a manner in which it's a safek, and so therefore I can eat it. Means that if you pick it and give it to me, then I am allowed to eat it. You created a doubt. Rav Avi v'Rav Bar Rav Chanan Mesaku Sipuku Adade. They each would create the doubt for each other to allow each other to eat. So this is because it's an attenuated law. It's a weak law because it's outside of Israel and it's rabbinic. So Amri Charife de Pumpadisa, but the sharp ones of Pumpadisa taught Ein Arla b'chutz la'aretz. There's no Arla outside of Israel. So they said there's no Arla whatsoever. So Shalcha Rabbi Yehuda Kamed Rabbi Yochanan, when Rabbi Yochanan heard this, he said, first of all, he was very upset, Rabbi Yochanan, that they were ruling like this. He said, Stom Sfeika, I want you to hide away the halacha, and if it's a doubt about the Arla outside of Israel, we can eat it. Hide away that halacha. And second of all, meaning they don't teach it, the Ibed Vada, and if they have certain Arla outside of Israel, I want you to destroy it. V'hachreiz al Perusayan, and make a proclamation about their fruits, Shetu'unim Geniza. And all their fruits need to be, all their Arla fruits need to be basically destroyed. Because Omer Eina Arla b'chutz la'aretz, lo yehelu nin v'neched. And anyone who says that there's no Arla outside of Israel, Rabbi Yochanan said, will not have any offspring. Masha chaval begorel b'kalash. I mean, won't have anyone who could throw his lot to amongst the community of God. And so therefore, Rabbi Yochanan was very upset about that. So the Gemara says, the inu command several. So the Gemara says, these Charifi de Pumpadisa, who are they holding like? Well, they're holding like Yod the Tanya, Rabbi Elazar Bar Rabbi Yossi, Omer Mishum Rabbi Yossi Ben Dermaiska, Sham Mishum Rabbi Yossi Aglili, Sham Mishum Rabbi Yocham Ben Nuri, Sham Mishum Rabbi Elazar Agadol. They hold like the sheet of Rabbi Elazar Agadol, who says, Ein Arla b'chutz la'aretz. So the Gemara is that there's no Arla outside of Israel. The Gemara says, but wait, we had Rabbi Eliezer in our Mishnah, which the Gemara is assuming is the same Rabbi Eliezer. And there in the Mishnah, Vanan Tanan, Rabbi Eliezer says, Afa Chodesh. The Chodesh is also prohibited outside of Israel. And the word Af means in addition to Arla and Koyim that are prohibited outside of Israel. So therefore, Rabbi Eliezer does say Arla is prohibited outside of Israel. So the Gemara says, Tani Chodesh. Take out the word Af and just say, he says Chodesh is prohibited outside of Israel, but not Arla or Koyim. Amar Rabbi Asi, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Arla b'chutz la'aretz halacha Moshe Misina. The law of Arla outside of Israel is the law from Moses at Sinai. Amar Rabbi Zero, Rabbi Asi, Vatanya, is that really the case that it's halacha Moshe Misina? But then we learned Sipek Arla ba'aretz also. And if you have a doubtful case of Arla, it's prohibited, and B'Suria mutar. So in Syria, it's permitted. So if you say it's a law from Moses at Sinai, how come outside of Israel we're saying it's permitted? It's in fact a suffix d'oraisa. It's a doubt about a biblical law, and we should be strict. So the Gemara's assumption is, so when Rabbi Zera said it's Rabbi Asi, that he was astonished. Maybe this is what we have to say. Sveika mutar vada asar. The halacha of Moshe Misina is that actual halacha is that if it's a doubt, it's prohibited, it's permitted, but if it's a certainty, it's prohibited. Amar Rabbi Asi, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Lokin al Aklayim Devar Torah. So he says, biblically speaking, we can give lashes for Klayim. And biblically speaking, we get lashes. So he says, but why? But don't we learn in the Mishnah, Klayim midivrei sofrim, that the Klayim outside of Israel is rabbinic. So the Gemara says, well, kasha, kamba koya kerem kamba arkava sayon. Well, it's a distinction between the type of Klayim, the type of mixture we're referring to. If it's koya keren, then we're going to say it's rabbinically prohibited outside of Israel, and you don't get lashes. But if it's the Klayim, which comes from the mixing the two trees together, arkava sayon, then we're going to say it's biblically prohibited outside of Israel, and you get the lashes. Kiddushin, Damar Shmuel, it says as chukosai tishmoru chukim shechakachtil hakfar. This refers to the laws that I've already established for you. Bem techalo tarbiyah koyim. You're not allowed to make your animals, mate your animals together to make them into koyim. And sadachalo tizra. And you're not allowed to make koyim with the seed of your field. Just like the animals is prohibited by mating. Avsadcha bar kava. This refers to a type of koyim where you bring two trees together that are different species. Just like your animals apply in Israel and outside of Israel, that it's prohibited to do. So to the field of the laws of koyim of the field also apply outside of Israel. But what about the fact it says your field? That's to tell us that the seeds of chutz, those are not prohibited biblically. But the harkavas ha'ilan, the grafting of the trees together, that's prohibited biblically. Rav Chanan, Rav Hanan and Rav Hanan were walking along the road, and they saw a man because he was planting two different types of seeds together. They said, maybe we should excommunicate him. So when Rav Hanan said this to Rav Hanan, he responded, he says, you don't know the halacha. He said, have you seen that he's planted the wheat and the barley together? Excuse me. He says, you don't know the halacha. He says, you don't know the halacha. Rashi says, says, maybe he doesn't know the halacha. Or maybe you don't know the halacha. That's the reason why he's saying it. And then he says, and then he saw a different man. He saw them planting wheat and barley together. He said, let's excommunicate him. He says, the halachos of Koyim are not clear to you. Well, Kaimel and Rabbi Yoshaya maybe Kaimel and Rabbi Yoshaya. Doesn't he hold like Rabbi Yoshaya who says, Ad she'yizra chita v'seora v'chartzim b'mapolas yada? When do we say that it's going to be prohibited? When you take the wheat and the barley and you toss them at one time, meaning to say that in order to be prohibited for Koyim, you have to take the wheat and the barley and the grapeseed and one toss of the hand plant them. That's the only way you're liable for Koyim, and that's the way we paskin says the Gemara here. So if that's the reason, that's why we shouldn't excommunicate him. Rashi says, "Time of Rabbi Yoshaya, I don't understand. I don't know this reasoning for Rabbi Yoshaya. Lo yadana me'echa nafkei. I have no idea where he got the source from, Rabbi Yoshaya, that you need shnei minei zorim, two types of seeds, v'chartzon shlishi, and then a grape seed is the third one. Where did he get that from? But the fact that he requires a hand toss, that Rashi says that he has a pasuk for. But the idea that you need three seeds together, Rashi says, I don't know Rabbi Yoshaya's source. Rabbi Yosef Ma'arav Bizrani Vizar. Rabbi Yosef would. What was Rabbi Yosef doing? He was mixing together the seeds and planting them. So Rabbi Yosef Ma'arav Bizrani, he would mix together different types of seeds, and he planted them in the field outside of Israel. So Abai said to him, how can you do it? Don't we say it's rabbinically prohibited to do koyim? He says, yeah, koya karam is rabbinically prohibited outside of Israel, but koya Zerayim, just planting seeds, not in a vineyard together, is not going to be prohibited outside of Israel. Why? Koya karam de be'eretz asurim ba'ana. Koya karam, the vineyard which in Israel is prohibited to have benefit from it. Bechutz la'aretz nami gazer b'Rabbanan. Outside of Israel, the rabbi said a decree, you can't have benefit from it. But koy zarim, but the mixture of the seeds, the be'eretz lo asir ba'ana, in Israel, it's not prohibited to have benefit from it. Therefore, b'chutz la'aretz nami lo gazer b'Rabbanan. Outside of Israel, the rabbis didn't make a decree about it. Hadar Amar Rav Yosef. Then Rav Yosef said, actually, Lav Milsi da Amri. Actually, maybe that which I said was not correct. Meaning to say that which I said that koya karam, there's no prohibition about it outside of Israel. Maybe I'm wrong or I am wrong. The Rav Zara Ginasa, the Bay Rav Mishari. That Rav, when he planted his vegetable garden for the yeshiva, he made sure that all the vegetables were in different rows. So by time, wasn't he concerned about making koyim? So he had to plant each vegetable in a distinct row. Abai says no. Abai said it would make sense if he had 4 different types of seeds and 4 different rows of the vegetable patch, and another one in the middle. Shop here, we would be able to learn from this that there's a prohibition of koyim by planting seeds outside of Israel, because since he wasn't careful to plant them in one row, and nevertheless he had to make sure it was done in a permitted manner, that would show he's concerned. But here, where he's just doing everything in a different row, we would say Mishum Noy, he's doing it for the beauty. He's not doing it you can't learn from it that he's doing it against, because he's concerned about climate. Maybe he's just doing it for beauty, or Inami Mishum Tircha Deshamah, or maybe he's concerned about making it harder for the gardener who's going to harvest the vegetables. He says, go get me cucumbers. He doesn't want to go run and go all over the field. He wants them all in the same place. So the fact that he kept the vegetables distinct is not a proof that there's Klayim outside of Israel. Now we go on to the next Mishnah, which we're going to also spend time on God willing, at our Shabbos Shuvah discussion on Shabbos afternoon. Whoever does one mitzvah in this world, Mativin lo, we're going to give him a lot of reward in this world, and he has a long life. He's going to inherit the world. Meaning to say, he's going to inherit the world to come. Whoever doesn't do a mitzvah, a Mativin lo, we don't give him reward in this world. And we're not going to give him a long life. And he's not going to get the world to come. So the Gemara says, wait 1 second, Viramini, we have a contradiction. It implies you're saying that as long as you do any mitzvah, you're going to get reward in this world and in the world to come. But we have the Mishnah from Meseches Peah, which we're about to say as part of our davening. And what does the Mishnah say? These are the fruits that a person, these are the things that a person eats their fruits in this world. Then you have the principle in the world to come. And what are those things? These are the mitzvahs. Kibbud av v'em, gemilos chasadim, honoring your parents, acts of kindness, achnasas orchim, giving gifts, welcoming in guests, bringing peace to your friends, v'talmud Torah k'nekuim, and Torah study is equal to all of them. And so we see those are the things that you get reward in this world and the world to come, not every mitzvah. So it's a contradiction. So Amar Yehuda Achlikamar Kol Osa Mitzvah Achas Yisera Al Tzliyasav Meitivin Lo. So he says it means whoever does one mitzvah and thereby tips the scales, and so now you have a majority of mitzvahs, then you're going to have a reward in this world and the world to come. The Doma Kamishim Ekayim Kol Torah Kula, and we're going to view you as though you upheld the whole Torah. So the Gemara says, wait 1 second. So you mean to say Mikal Dahanach? So those mitzvahs from the Mishnah Meseches Peah implies Afil B'chad Nami. Even if you just do one of those mitzvahs, you're going to have the reward. You're going to have the reward in the world to come. Even if your whole life you're a sinner, but you just you did one nice thing for your friends and you brought peace to them. As a result of that, you get all the reward. That doesn't make sense. So I'm Rav Shmaya Lomar Shem Haisa Shkua. No, in all those mitzvahs, if all your mitzvahs and sins are equal, then that'll be the deciding factor. So then the Gemara says, but wait, how can we say close a mitzvah? If you do one extra mitzvah above your demerits, we make it good for you. Is that really the case for Aminu? But don't we have a contradictory source? And the contradictory source says, Kol shezechu says this brisa, anyone whose merits are Meruba me'avonosav are greater than his sins, Marion lo. We're going to do something. Anyone whose merits are greater than his sins, Marion lo. We do something bad to him. V'doma kamisha sarv kol Torah kula, and we view him as though we burnt the entire Torah. Well, shier mimenu afilu osach means if you have a merit in this world, we're going to punish you, so that you use up. So we get rid of all your punishments in this world. We get the world to come. You could just get reward, and just the opposite. Anybody whose sins are greater than his merits, we do good for you in this world. Meaning to say, our Mishnah said that if you do a mitzvah in this world, you get reward in this world. But this other source says if you do a mitzvah in this world, we punish you in this world, so that the world to come you get all the reward. So how do we explain this contradiction? Amar Abaye Masnisin, Da'avdin Yom Tov, Yom Tov, V'Yom Beish. So he says that our Mishnah is referring to saying we're going to prepare for you a good world, meaning to say we're preparing you a good world in the world to come. That's what it means. And the Brisa and the Mishnah, which says that if you don't do a mitzvah, we don't do it for you, meaning to say we prepare for you the ultimate punishment in the world to come. Rava gives a different explanation to explain the contradiction between the Mishnah and Brisa. So Rava says, "Samani Rabbi Yaakov, he says, no, the Brisa that says that you don't get any reward in this world, that you get punished in this world. This is the position of Rabbi Yaakov, who says, Schar mitzvah, he says that there is no reward for mitzvah in this world. The Tanya, Rabbi Yaakov Omer, Ein lecha kol mitzvah sheksuva b'Torah. There is no mitzvah that's written in the Torah, the reward, Shematan Schar B'Tzida, which the reward for it is written in the Torah. She'ein tchias ameis and tluyaba. What that means is you'll get that mitzvah, you'll get the reward when you have the resurrection of the dead, but not in this world. The kivud aim by honoring your father and mother, it says, so you live a long life and it'll be good for you. Sending away the mother bird, it says, you live a long life and it'll be good for you by sending away the mother bird and taking the eggs. But let's say the father said to the kid, oh, Bira, go up this tower of Avali, goes low, and bring me back the little baby chicks or the eggs. Oh, Bira, and the kid goes up, and Rahman al-Islam v'shal chasa'ah, aim, he sends away the mother, but not also about him. He takes the children, so he threw the eggs back to the father, and then on his way down, he's got nothing to protect him. He falls down and he dies. But the pasuk promised him a long life. Pasuk promised him that's going to be good. So it can't work. It doesn't jive with the reality. What does that mean? When it'll be good for you? Says Rabbi Yaakov, the world that's all good. What does that mean? The world that is all long, which is the world to come. Gemara says, well, you're making a proof from a theoretical incident that maybe a boy will go up and he'll die on the way down. Maybe that never happened. What are you talking about? So Gemara says, no, Rabbi Yaakov Ma'isa Chaza. Rabbi Yaakov saw it. He saw with his own eyes. Gemara says, maybe the reason why it happened was because he was having improper thoughts at the time. That's why he died. Gemara says, no. Hashem isn't bothered by our improper thoughts. He doesn't view them as though we did it. Gemara says, but maybe he was thinking about idolatry, and it says about idolatry, as long as they seize the children of Israel in their hearts, meaning to say that idolatry we're punished for even in our hearts, even if we don't verbalize it. Gemara says, well, that's exactly what Rabbi Yaakov Steiner was. That's indeed what Rabbi Yaakov was saying. If you're going to say that if you're going to say that there's reward for your mitzvah in this world, why didn't the mitzvahs protect him from worshiping idolatry? The mitzvah should protect him from having this improper thought. Gemara says, but wait, there's another problem. How could the boy fall down? Doesn't Rabbi Lazar say that if you're sent to do a mitzvah and the boy was still bringing the eggs down to the father, if he was on the way to do a mitzvah, he couldn't be damaged. Gemara says, Hasam, Bali Chasan, Shani. So the Gemara's answer is, no, that case, what Rabbi Elazar says that the shluchim mitzvahs aren't damaged, is on their way to do the mitzvah. But on the way back, you can indeed be hurt. Chas v'shalom. So the Gemara says, we have a different source that Rabbi Lazar says that you're not damaged on the way there or on the way back. The Gemara says, okay, this is a different reason why the shluchim mitzvah didn't protect him. Sulam ra'u'ava, he had a rickety ladder, and so therefore, since he had a rickety ladder, the kavia zeka, the hezek, the danger was fixed, and so therefore we have a principle called the kavia hezeka, wherever the danger is present there. We're not able to rely on the miracle. As it states, when God told Shmuel to go and anoint David, Shmuel said, how can I go? Shaul's going to kill me. What do you mean, how can I go? God told you to go. You're going to be protected. Shmuel is saying to God, no, I'm not going to be protected because it's a hezek that is kavua there. It's a fixed danger. And so therefore, what are we going to do? So Amar Rav Yosef Amoy Darshe Achar Lahai Krok Rabbi Yaakov Abarte Rochata. If Achar, who's Elisha ben Avua, the great Talmudic sage who became a heretic, if he had only expounded the verse like Rabbi Yaakov Abarte, he never would have sinned. V'achar Mai Hava Ika. So So what caused the Achar Mayhave? What caused the Achar to become a sinner? What caused him to become a heretic? Ikadamri, some say Ki Agav Nechaza, that he saw this exact case. He saw the boy going up the tree at his father's request to get him eggs, and the boy sent away the mother bird and brought the eggs down, and on the way down, he died. And some say, no, what did Achar see? He saw somebody we're going to read about on Yom Kippur afternoon at the end of Musaf, right before the Slichos. We're going to read about the 10 martyrs, and one of those 10 martyrs was Chutzpis the Meturgaman. Chutzpis, the person whose job it was to teach the Torah to the community. And he saw that the Chutzpis the Meturgaman, who was murdered by the Romans, and Davigarle Davar Acher, and that this tongue of chutzpah was being dragged by a pig through the streets. And Amar, he said, Pasha hifik margolios, this mouth which spouted Torah, pearls of Torah, Yelachach Afar, is going to now be sucking up dirt. Nafach, he went out and he sinned. I remember that Rabbi Soloveitchik, in the keynotes of Rabbi Soloveitchik, he talks about this this scene of chutzpah being dragged through the streets, his tongue being dragged through the streets by a pig, was in one of the slichos, one of the keynotes of Tisha B'Av. And Rabbi Soloveitchik said that they basically referred to this Gemara. Rabbi Elazar Kalir, I think it was, refers obliquely to this Gemara. Rabbi Soloveitchik said all of the curses that were predicted in the keynotes, they all came true, or they were lamented in the keynotes, they all came true in the Holocaust. And Rabbi Soloveitchik talks about how the Nazis took a great sage, Rav Gilson, one of the greatest Torah scholars of his generation, and they took him and they dragged him through the streets with his beard by a horse, and he was being dragged by the end of it, being humiliated and desecrated. And he quoted this Gemara from Chutzpis, the Meturgaman. You can find it in the footnotes to Rabbi Soloveitchik's edition on the keynotes. You'll see that very, very sad story. Okay, so we'll stop here, and God willing,